Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Hi. Welcome to the 11th season of Project 180's Strong Voices, Strong Subjects lecture series, held in partnership with the Boxer Diversity Initiative. The Boxers are right over here. I'm Barbara Richards, President, CEO, and founder of Project 180. Yeah.
Wow, how do I follow that? Good morning, I'm David Harris, also known as Yogi. Please call me Yogi if you're not angry with me. I became a Project 180 resident in December 21st, 2022, after spending 28 years in prison and having my sentence overturned. Always get misty right there. Thank you today for joining us. Some of you are new and might want to know exactly what Project 180 is. Well, I get the opportunity and the pleasure and the honor to be the one to tell you that. We'll tell you about our organization in a few minutes, however, but first, the good work wouldn't be possible without the individuals and foundations that support us. I'm sorry, it's that time. Gee, thanks. Thanks. That's my friend. If not for you guys, none of this would be possible. We just need you to know that.
I'd like to say that we're very proud to partner with the Boxer Diversity Initiative. They are an organization, a nonprofit, that fosters tolerance and understanding through very important programs that they hold here in our community, in which they celebrate and explore diversity. If you take a look in your program, which was on your chair, you'll find the full list of our sponsors, and we are deeply grateful to all of you. Our Breaker of Chains sponsors are Koski Family Foundation, now in their 9th season of supporting this series, Community Foundation of Sarasota County, Verizon, and Beneva, who supplied our beautiful centerpieces today, Wendy and Jim Cox, and Sir Speedy, who's new this year.
Sponsors not only underwrite the expense of this lecture series, their compassion, generosity, and support also support the programs that help men and women turn their lives around, men like myself. Boy, it was a big turn, I tell you. Those of us who are rebuilding our lives genuinely appreciate you and your support. With our sponsors, board directors, staff, and residents, please stand. Yo, you know who you are. Come on, come on. We'd just like to take a minute to recognize and thank all of you. All of you. To everyone who is new here today, we're glad you're here. Project 180 is a prisoner reentry nonprofit that helps currently and formerly incarcerated men and women prepare for their life after release. Our programs are listed in your event program if you'd like to just follow along. Barbara?
Thank you. Let's start with our First Week Out program. It's our newest initiative and one that works exclusively with men and women returning from state prison. About 5 people come back to Sarasota County every week from state prison, and they travel by Greyhound. Sometimes the ride is as long as 36 hours, even if the prison is only a few hours away. When they arrive, there's no one there to greet them. They stand there alone, and they have to figure out what to do next, and they have to figure it out by themselves. After doing even 2 years, people report that they forget how to walk safely across a street, and now they have to make all the decisions and make choices themselves. They wonder where they're going to sleep that night and where they're going to get something to eat. They sure won't be staying in a hotel or eating in a restaurant. In truth, they'll likely sleep out in the woods or on the street, and with the, let's say, $10 that they have in their pockets, they'll either go to a fast food place or, very possibly, go to find some drugs. A few steps off the bus, and life is already looking exactly like it was before they went to prison. Now, let's insert Chuck Dockery. Chuck is the program coordinator of our First Week Out program. Now, the long ride is finally over, the doors open on the bus, and the person steps off. Chuck is right there waiting for them. He calls them by name and shakes their hand. He asks how they're doing, and do you want to go get something to eat? He's been in contact with them for over 3 months, so conversation over lunch or dinner or breakfast is fairly easy. He knows this person down to their shoe size. After finishing the meal, they go to register at the jail, which is a mandatory stop for anyone coming back from state prison. After that, they shop for a cell phone so the person can stay in touch with us and with potential employers. They go buy some clothes, some shoes, drop by our office so that we get to meet the new person, our new neighbor. Then they head over to the person's new program home. That night, they'll sleep in a soft bed. They have a place to stay, so the pressure is off. And the first 2 weeks of their program home is paid for. Life is changing already. The next day, Chuck drives them to an interview to meet some of our second chance employers. We supply the person, him or her, with a bike lock, and bike lights to keep them safe, and a bus pass to get to and from work. And then Chuck stays in touch for weeks, months, or years, as long as they need that to happen. This is our First Week Out program. It saves and transforms lives.
Project 180's residential program is a dream that sparked the founding of Project 180. There's nothing else quite like it. Trust me, I know. We're not a halfway house. We're not transitional living. We're a family of guys who are just trying to figure it out. Just think after 1.5 years of doing this, I wouldn't be going through this. We're all afflicted with the same disease. It's called addiction. Even though it's a family, it's not soft at all. Project 180 requires us to be responsible people. We have a responsibility to ourselves and each other. We have to work full-time at an approved job like Beneva Flowers, David Schul there, or Bishop's Aluminum, or at Atlantic in TNG. We're required to attend 12-step meetings, stay clean, pay $200 a week towards our program. Now, I know you guys envy us now. and that wasn't written there. That covers our housing, utilities, a phone, clothing to get started, shoes, and help getting our driver's license back, and a lot more. Now I know you're angry with me. After years of neglecting our health, poor care in prisons and jails, we're encouraged to get our health in order with a stipend of $1,000 paid to the provider for medical, dental, vision, and even mental health care. Just like everyone else, we deal with communication issues. Yeah, I deal with communication issues. Finances, work-life balances, relationships, and we're held accountable for our actions. That's gratifying. We stay in the program for up to 2 years. During the first 6 months, we examine our motives, our inner thoughts, our backgrounds, the messages that we receive as kids and teens, and the cultural messages we receive as men. Let me tell you about the pink I wore watching Barbie. I went to see Barbie wearing pink. Pink shorts. We work on becoming more aware and setting up ourselves and thus our family's success. We don't have women's residential programs yet, but once we're on our feet, the women in our lives benefit. We become better husbands, boyfriends, sons, fathers, and breadwinners, all while becoming better members of society.
One thing that Yogi didn't tell you is that in the residential program, some of the most commonly heard words are, "I love you." And we are like a family. I'm part of the family too. And,
Love you, Barb.
Love you, Yogi. So the final program we're going to talk about today is this lecture series. It's designed to educate the general public about prisoner reentry issues and the impact that prisoner reentry has on the community. The series also provides some special things for our residents. They get to meet the judges and attorneys who used to stand across the courtroom from them, and they get to see them as colleagues in creating a safer community rather than as adversaries. They get to meet second chance employers and landlords who will hire them for jobs or house them despite their criminal backgrounds. And they get to know caring people like you. This is far more important than you might think. There have been like some of the toughest guys you would ever want to meet who come home from this lecture series in tears because a normal person made contact with them, began to talk to them, and treated them like a normal person. So, in the spirit of community, and building community, not prisons, I urge you to, if you haven't already, meet one of our residents before you leave the lunch today. And have or arrange to have, over coffee or lunch, a meaningful conversation, because that sense of community is the underlying purpose of being here today.
As you've already heard, our programs quite literally save lives and transform lives. First Week Out serves about 40 to 50 clients a year, and the residential program has served 101 since mid-2018. About 65% of the residential program is covered by our weekly program fees. Generous community support covers the rest. We're forever grateful for the support and the trust you place in Project 180 to do this work. Everyone always wants to know the outcomes of our programs, so we're going to give you an idea of what some of the non-measurable outcomes are. Just keep in mind that outcomes can manifest in many different ways.
And now it's time for our second slideshow.
There I am in pink, y'all. Told you.
Stand back so they can see.
It wasn't me, I promise. Let me just say this. When we're all out there on the water, jet skis, riding bicycles, we ain't got our minds on drugs. Our mind is not on crime. It's on each other. We're not thinking about alcohol doing wrong, and it shows in our recidivism rate, or lack thereof. The national rate is 44% during the first year of release. For residential program residents, graduates, and first week out clients, it hovers around 14% each year, 30 percentage points lower.
This year's series is about transformation. Occasionally, a man will enter the program who didn't become addicted or engaged in crime until later in life. Those folks are rare. Most of the guys in our program started using drugs or alcohol early. Some as early as 6 years old, but most were tweens or teens. Once a person becomes addicted, life becomes completely unmanageable. If the person is a child, he's either kicked out of the house or put into juvie for his unmanageable behavior that is wreaking havoc in the family. These folks become homeless, maybe couch surf, but what they don't do, what they don't have the opportunity to do, is to learn to live as responsible mainstream adults, because the only thing on their mind, literally on their mind, is getting another drink or drug. By the time the guys arrive at Project 180, they have fairly significant criminal histories and the trauma to show for being in and out of prison. Post-traumatic stress disorder is not unusual. So when you're changing your life, your entire life, unpacking all of that is a lot. And you need people around you who love you and care about you so that you can do it.
On top of that, there are worries about fitting in. Is it obvious to everyone that I just got out of prison? Will the community forgive me for the things I've done wrong? The most important one is, can I forgive myself? Self-acceptance, trust, and the decreasing identification with being a formerly incarcerated citizen are all common themes that work for us to work on during our time in the program. Each one is an essential part of the transformative process we experience at Project 180.
So with those heavy thoughts, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Kirsten Russell. Kirsten is Vice President of Community Impact at Community Foundation of Sarasota County, where she leads the team that's responsible for grants, scholarships, and nonprofit services. Part of Kirsten's job is meeting with people like me. And I never told you this, Kirsten, but before the first time we met, I was really nervous. We're very blessed, though, to have many foundation leaders in our community who are kind and genuine people, the kind of people that you just want to have as your friend. And Kirsten is no exception. Kirsten will be followed by men who are either current residents in our program or who have graduated from the program, and they will discuss the ways in which they've changed over the time that they've been in Project 180. Kirsten?
So I want us all to just start by giving a round of applause to Yogi. It is hard to get up in front of a room. I do this a lot, and I get butterflies sometimes. So Yogi, thank you for sharing your story and sharing it with all of us. Okay, so looking around this room, I see a lot of familiar faces and some new faces, and you're really in for a treat to hear heartfelt stories about people's lives. Listening to these stories always touches me. It always touches me in a different way, and I'm sure each of us will be touched in different ways by the chance that people are getting to live out their full potential. Giving them the support they need along this journey so that they can surpass anyone's expectations, and most often probably even their own expectations. But isn't that really what building hope and reimagining future is about? I've had the opportunity to sit down with some of these men. I've had the opportunity to visit one of their homes. And it's funny because for many of these people, surpassing expectations means moving from an unthinkable life to one of purpose. And when it comes down to it, this new life seems ordinary, but it's really a very new, actually quite extraordinary life. When we talk or visit with these men at their house or even in this room, if you have the chance to talk to them, I promise you'll be struck by the fact that they're normal people living normal lives, and they're watching football games, and they're talking about going back and pursuing some educational pursuit. And they're cooking. Yogi loves to cook. They do the things that normal people do. They have the conversations that normal people have, right? And they take great pride in being part of their new family, where they love on each other and support each other. And we all need that. I don't think anyone would question that. Learning the life of trauma, the desperation, the addiction, and then the work, the truly hard work that it takes to get here, to this point. Sober, employed, and thank you to every employer who is employing these gentlemen. Can we give them a round of applause? Everyone doesn't do that, and I'm positive they get pushback sometimes, so thank you for that. These men are becoming productive and positive parts of our community. It has been a long haul to get here, but their commitment to themselves and their loved ones, as well as the community around them, it's really humbling. These are lives full of purpose, And these people are full of hope. It would have been unimaginable before they were introduced to Project 180. Barbara, where'd Barbara go? Where are you? Barbara, the work that you and your team do is truly amazing. Thank you. They build the trust and rapport. They understand the complex supports that are needed to step out of what amounts to a life of confinement. Whether it's been incarceration, poverty, or addiction, and step into a life of promise. This is not an easy task. And it's not one that very many people are willing to undertake. Yet, when you see and when you hear these stories about lives turned around, and you witness their pride and their reimagined trajectory, you know that Project 180 is making a huge difference in these people's lives. And their newfound stability and sense of purpose are making a huge difference in our community. That's why the Community Foundation is so proud to partner with Project 180. Our foundation's mission is to support opportunities that everyone who lives here, everyone, not just some, everyone can thrive. And Project 180 turns that mission into reality. Disrupting any cycle of trauma is a heavy lift, and this work is truly breathtaking. These positive outcomes will continue to strengthen our community for generations to come. And I will close with one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou. I'm quite certain that everyone in this room can relate to it on some level. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. Whatever happens next to everyone in this room, especially those of you at Project 180, know that you have a village here supporting you. We are cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you for being here today, and I will make a shameless plug for the Giving Challenge coming up in April. Support Project 180. They were the first organization. Susie Bowie is in this room. She used to work for the Community Foundation. Project 180 and Barbara, they were the first organization to create a giving partner profile that you have to have for the Giving Challenge. So I think that in and of itself means everyone in here should give them some money and reward them for that. And it's generously, the Patterson Foundation will generously match your donation up to $100. So I hope you will mark April 9th and 10th on your calendar. You have 24 hours to do that, and I hope you'll do that. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to introduce Matt Sauer with the Baranczyk Foundation. No? Oh. Matt Branham, not Matt Sauer. I saw Matt when she said it. Matt was probably like, what am I going to say? So, Matt, please come on up and take the stage.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. As I said, my name is Matt. I'm a resident with Project 180. You know, I was a drug addict, or they say once an addict, always an addict, but I don't know if I believe that. I've been in and out of jail for the last 20 years of my life, steadily screwing up. Every time I got out, I would go straight back to drugs. From someone's standpoint who doesn't have any family, no one to turn to when you get out, you know, like they said earlier, you come out, you have nowhere to go. Your first thought is you just want to forget that you basically have nobody. And so within a day, If you're lucky, you might make it 2 days. You're back to using. And, you know, the cycle just continues to get worse every time you're coming out. Well, you know, this time I was incarcerated in Sarasota County, and then I went to prison. While I was in prison, someone put me in touch with Project 180, and the first time I called, a classification officer actually, you know, got me on the phone with Seth Campbell, and I talked to him, and he's telling me all these things about, you know, you don't have to go back out. You don't have to get out and go on the street. You don't have to get out and resort back to doing drugs. You know, we'll help you. We'll give you a place to stay. I'll pick you up from the bus station, and we'll take you straight to a clean house. We'll get you clothes. We'll get you a phone. We'll put you in contact with people that will employ you. And coming from a convicted felon since I was 20 years old, it can be very hard to find a job as a convicted felon, especially when you have multiple convictions. So I got to be quite honest, at first I didn't believe that. You know, I mean, I've been told before, you know, well, this person might help you when you get out, this person might help you when you get out, but every time I've ever got out, and not saying that there wasn't organizations or people out there that was willing to help, I was never put in contact with any of them. And, you know, that's not just other people's, I mean, that's, you know, mainly my fault, because I can't say I ever tried to get in contact with any of them either. You know, when I got out, I would just always resort back to the quickest thing, because I don't have any family. So my quickest thing was I could go back to using and peddling drugs and get up some money, and I can get me, like was mentioned earlier, get me a hotel room for the night, or go surf on somebody's couch, or... But once you start in that cycle of drugs, it just falls apart, as we all know, and it just continues to fall apart. And then you wind up right back in jail. And that's, you know, the cycle it goes through every time. Well, when I talked to Seth, and after a couple of months and I was getting out, you know, one thing that bothered me so much, I would see people get out every day. And, you know, I would talk to these people when I hear, you know, their release date's coming up, and I'm like, well, you know, what are you going to do when you get out? And I have people tell me, you know, well, my family's picking me up, and this person's picking me up, and my wife's picking me up. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I don't have that. I don't have no one that's going to pick me up out there. I don't have no one when I walk out those gates that's going to be waiting on me. And I kept telling myself, if you go back out and do the same thing, this is, you know, I'm looking at my surroundings sitting in prison, and I'm like, this is going to continue your life. This is where your life's going to keep you. You're going to keep coming back here. And I got to be honest, I didn't believe that anyone was going to be at that bus station when I got off that bus. But Seth was right there. He knew who I was coming off the bus. I even asked him, I remember asking him, well, how'd you know it was me? He's like, well, I got your picture right here, you know, so I'm like, oh, yeah, I imagine you do, you know, you got my mug shot or whatever, but, you know, and it really felt good. I mean, I didn't know Seth. I had talked to him on the phone, never met him before in my life, but it's like, man, I mean, this guy cares enough, even if he's working for someone, he cares enough to be here. And this was on a Sunday, mind you. He cares enough to be here on a Sunday to pick me up. And his first words to me was, what you want to eat? You know, I didn't have to worry. And every other time I've got out of being incarcerated, that was, you know, just one of the many things that I had to figure out, you know, where am I going to get a meal from? Where am I going to lay my head tonight? And like Seth told me when he picked me up, you don't have to worry about any of that. We're going to take you, get you some clothes, because I had nothing but the clothes on my back. We're going to take you and get you a phone. I had no money, had nobody to get any money from, had no one, you know, that was going to say, you know, hey, here, you know, here's this, here's that to help you out. And he told me, he was like, all you got to worry about doing is keeping your head straight. We'll give you every resource that you have, that you need to keep your life on track. All you have to be is willing to do it. And, you know, I never had anyone that, like I said, I never had anyone do that for me. And it just, you know, I mentioned not having any family, and since I've been here, you know, I see that, they've become my family with Barbara and Seth and Tom and all the other residents. And, you know, I've always been a person that stayed to myself. And, you know, like if I needed somebody to talk to, I just kept everything bottled up inside because I never really had nobody to talk to. Now I have a lot of people I can talk to. We have these house meetings every Friday, or not every Friday, but every Monday. And, you know, you get a chance to share how your week was and stuff. And, you know, you're not just sharing it to someone that could give two craps about, you know, what it was really about. You're sharing it with people who really care about, you know, how you're doing, you know, how things are going, how you're progressing in your life. And which leads me back to care now about how my life is going. Because for too long, I didn't care about it. You know, I got out, and there was a part of me that believed in my head, even if I got out and got a job right away and stayed clean for a little while, there was always a part of me that would tell myself, you're just going to eventually start back using anyway, so this is just temporary. And that was the mindset I had. But from being in Project 180 now, I was released November of last year. I've been here 4 going on 5 months. I have a whole new outlook on life. I mean, you know, I don't look at it as, you know, oh man, I got to get up and go to work in the morning. You know, I look at it as, wow, you know, I get to get up this morning in this clean house that I'm in. You know, I can go to the refrigerator and eat some breakfast if I want, if I choose to. You know, I get to go to a job that I love, and it's given me a whole new outlook on life. And I can't wait to see where my future goes from here, because like I said, you know, my outlook coming out and given these opportunities that, you know, Project 180 has given me has changed my whole outlook on life. So with that being said, I just thank everyone for being here. I especially thank Barbara. I love her to death. And I thank everyone at Project 180 because, you know, without them, I feel like I would just be alone again. And with them, you know, I feel like I got people that I can turn to. So, and thank you everyone for being here, and thank you all for, I know y'all contribute and donations and stuff, and I don't think any of this would be possible if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you everyone, and we got Glenn Hoffer coming up here next. So have a good day.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? I'm Glenn. I'm an addict. I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about my story, how I got to where I am today. I I grew up about 30 miles from here down in Northport. My life was normal for the most part. I remember being 5 years old, standing in the front yard while my dad's mowing the lawn, and next thing I know, I'm getting covered with red ants, and my parents are rushing me in the house to try to hose me down. Yeah. Was not a fun day for me. My mother had problems with addiction most of my life. I didn't really know anything other than that. At the age of about 9 years old, I suffered from having sleep apnea, not sleep apnea, insomnia. I couldn't sleep. I was very energetic. There was no getting me to go to sleep. And she started giving me her medication, opiates, to help me go to sleep. She didn't really know any better. She was doing, at the time back then, what she thought was the right thing to do, but it transpired and turned bad quick. I started drinking from that point on. I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger. My mother had lost her driver's license because of unpaid speeding tickets. She was afraid to bring these tickets to my father because of our financial struggles growing up. Therefore, she just did what she had to do. She had raised me, my two brothers, and she would just drive us wherever she needed to go, and that made her have countless incarcerations. With my father always being at work and her being a stay-at-home mom because she was disabled, when I was in middle school, things started getting dicey. My dad always working, my mom in and out of jail, left me to be the one to kind of pick up the brunt of helping raise my brothers, cook for them, cook for my dad for when he got home from work, clean clothes, clean the house, adult things at a young age. And I rebelled from that. Middle school, got into a lot of fights, stayed in the assistant principal's office at all times. There probably wasn't, I remember my 6th grade year, I probably spent the entire year in the assistant principal's office. It was bad. But I kind of straightened out somewhat when I got into high school. I got involved in sports, started doing really good in school, had good grades, honors classes. But I was also living a double life. I was selling drugs to try to help support my family and bring money into the house so my dad didn't have to work as hard and maybe he could stay home and spend some time with us. That was my solution to it. Not only was I using and drinking, but I was also selling the stuff to try to make money. I ended up getting kicked out of high school my junior year. I was on probation for some charges that I had caught when I was in the middle of my active addiction and just being a complete chaotic child. And I had to go to this second chance school. Probably the worst experience other than going to jail was going to this school, because I had went there and I was in college classes and stuff when I was in high school, and I go there and they don't offer any of that. So I felt like I was being held back in a sense. And I got off probation. They let me go back to normal high school. I was able to graduate, and I got out of school and I started on the same career path that my father was on. And I bounced around from job to job to job because I couldn't stop drinking, I couldn't stop using. And then 20 years old, my addiction really took off. My father was diagnosed with cancer. I started injecting my drugs rather than just taking them how I started out. And numerous incarcerations. I accumulated multiple felony convictions over that amount of time, in and out of detox, overdoses, and it took me to the bitter ends where I almost died. And I was homeless. I got my food out of dumpsters. I stole everything, clothes, food. It didn't matter. I just did whatever I had to do to survive, and that's all I knew. I violated the probation that I was on, and I got locked up March 15th of 2022. And I was sick and tired. I didn't want to live like this no more. And I sought help. I went to the recovery pod in the jail, and I did my entire jail stay in Sarasota County in that pod. Then I ended up getting transferred to Charlotte County to deal with my violation down there. Got out December 22nd, spent the holidays with my family, and then voluntarily put myself into rehab as soon as I got out. I knew that I needed more. I knew that I needed to get connected, and I didn't. I was tired. I was done and over with it. Upon commencing the Salvation Army, I got into Project 180. I was closed off. I didn't trust nobody. I just went to work, came home, and I hung out in my room by myself. It took probably about 2 months until I started opening up, started trusting these guys that I was living with, and we ended up becoming family. And we ended up becoming the type of family that I had been looking for my entire life. Because even though I love my family, I love my blood family and everything, but it was pretty dysfunctional. But today, all of that has changed with me getting clean. Like, I have good relationships with my family, good relationships with my brothers. We have a huge brotherhood at Project 180. I mean, these guys, they constantly push me to the next level to be better than I was on a regular basis. I got my license back a couple months after being out of rehab, being in the program, and I had had steady employment the whole time. I even started my own business, which was like a dream of mine that I never thought that I was going to be able to do. I do home renovations for a living, and like a big point of why I wanted to start my own business is I wanted to be able to help people like myself. It was hard to get a job. My whole life it's been hard since I've been an addict to get a job, and I wanted to help people that were like me be able to get a job, and it'd be easier for them to integrate into the workforce. This program has done things for me that I could not do for myself, and I will drop everything to go help someone that's in the program. It doesn't matter what it is. If somebody calls, I stop what I'm doing and I go and I try to help them. And that's what makes me feel better, and that's how I continue to be able to live this life, is by helping other people and just not saying no and not being selfish and saying that I'm busy and stuff. This program has helped me be something that I never thought that I would be, and start to become a productive member of society. And I owe it all to the people in this room. I owe it all to Project 180. Without y'all, none of this would be possible. I would not be standing here. I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. And it's probably the most amazing life that I could have ever even dreamed of living. Thank you.
I would love to tell you what you see up here today is a product of precise planning, hard work, and dedication, which can be true to an extent, but it's not. The man I am in front of you today is a product of cold nights, lonely wanders, and downright brokenness. Someone who kept falling and couldn't get back up. Oh. Do me a favor, can everyone close their eyes for a moment? Now envision this while you sit there with your eyes closed. A 20-year-old you walking down a road, whatever that road may look like for you, wearing clothes that haven't been washed for weeks, stained and soiled from long nights sleeping in the dirt, hungry with not a meal to eat. Picture a black garbage bag over your shoulder, weighing you down like the weight of the burden, the hate, the shame you feel. Hiding that bag in the bushes just to come back to it gone and having to start over the following week. Now imagine that cycle for years. Open your eyes, please. Now, as I stand here in front of you, I can say that was me. Key word, was. After juvenile programs, multiple stints in jail, a slew of overdoses, I finally found myself in prison. As I was coming to the end of that prison stay, still unsure of what life was actually going to look like for me, I found a flyer on the floor for Project 180. I wasn't sold. I didn't know if I wanted to get clean. Now, years removed from my last overdose, I needed to make a decision. Continue down the path or give myself a chance. It was time to give myself a chance. And the process began thanks to Chuck, Barbara, and the residential coordinator at the time, Michael Southwick. I was accepted into Project 180, a decision they made that opened the door for me to change my life. The struggle was real in the beginning. Between trying to find work, attending meetings, and becoming open, those were all challenges in themselves, compounded by the fact that openness, where I had just come from, was a sign of weakness and dangerous. But because I was surrounded by the great guys, and thanks to Project 180 alleviating the worry of where my next meal was coming from and giving me a warm bed to sleep in, I finally had a fighting chance. Enough was enough. I wasn't going back. I think this is where I finally understood what they had been trying to tell me my whole life. Seth, you can do anything you set your mind to. Well, my mind was set. I wasn't settling. This led me to one of my favorite words, perseverance. I learned through persevering, anything is possible. I always thought I was a weak person. That's why I kept running back to drugs. It was easy, and again, I was weak. But through the times of self-reflection, in prison, I realized I was stronger than I thought. I had to be strong to make it through the life I lived. I believe this realization is what led me and helped me find internal peace within myself. I used to not be able to sit in silence. Nowadays, I embrace it. My mind has shifted because I was given time to figure out who I truly was. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't find myself overnight and am forever searching for a better me. But I'm truly grateful for this ever-evolving journey to have a true understanding of myself today and a direction in life. I couldn't have done that without this program. Better yet, I couldn't have done it without everybody present in this room. And also, the ones not. The man in front of you right now is a friend, a valued employee, a productive member of society, a college student pursuing my bachelor's, specializing in addiction. Today, I walk into a room with my head held high, knowing that I'm not being looked at like a criminal or a convict, that I'm just another guy in the room. And that sense of normalcy is what I've strived for my entire life, that no substance could ever give me. Self-acceptance was key. That was rough. Let me, let me tell you a short story. Yogi and I, Yogi, raise your hand. We're doing a weddings pickup for our beloved Beneva Flowers. Taking down all the stuff that was used for the wedding and bringing it back. I think we were in Tampa. Tampa, right, Yogi? Full disclaimer, I don't think David Schul knows this story. As we're walking out of this building, loaded down with stuff, an elderly woman falls off a curb. I dropped everything in my hands at that moment, which wasn't breakable, David, and ran over to help this lady. This lady would have probably ran from the past me, or at least guarded her purse, right? But she didn't do that. She took my hand, a hand covered in tattoos, without a second thought, and thanked me tremendously. And I often think of that night, and I realized we're all the same. At that exact moment, there was no stigma, no judgment, or fear, right? She didn't see the dirty, drug-addicted, homeless man who carried all his belongings in a black garbage bag, who was in and out of jails and prisons. She saw the real me, the man I had been searching for all these years. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, Glenn, and Seth, for speaking. Those are truly amazing stories. It takes a lot of courage to face your past and take control of your future, and even more courage to stand up here like they did and tell that story to all of you. We're all very proud of you. We're all very proud of you and the other men and women in this room who have taken the courage to turn their lives around. Now, I'm Joe Malave. I'm one of the board of directors of Project 180, and I've been involved with Project 180 for about 9 years. I started off giving financial literacy courses in the local jail, and at that time, we had to walk around the pod and gather people to go up front by the laundry room. There was a little classroom up there, so we'd walk around and try and recruit people to get people involved in the financial literacy courses. Now I can tell you, and it was great speaking to Lisi, to find out and see over the years that it's completely changed. Now, when they do the financial literacy courses, everyone participates willingly, they're aware of it, and they want to be a part of it. And so it's a huge change that has happened over the years. And it's not only due to our work, but it's really a lot of the positive changes that was made in the county jail system. So I've been able to see the growth in our caring and knowledgeable staff led by Barbara Richards. The goal has always been to reach more formerly incarcerated people and help them do a 180 and turn their lives around. And that's exactly what we are doing. Today we heard from 3 men who have returned from county jail or state prison to Sarasota County, and they are not alone. As Barbara mentioned earlier, about 5 people return from state prison each week, and dozens are released weekly from our county jail. These men and women live in our community, and like you, I want to reach each and every person to have the opportunity for a positive outcome like Matt, Seth, and Glenn and the other men have had. Not all the people spoken to with our first week out program take us up on the opportunity, because not all of them are ready to take the courageous journey like the 3 of the guys did today. But for those that are, we are here and ready to help. You have also heard about our residential program, where we're able to house 17 men until they graduate. We want to do more, and we need to do more. Because our services are so comprehensive, last year we had to turn away a lot of applicants because we simply don't have the room for them. And I tried to get the real numbers, to give you a framework. There's probably about 100 people that wanted to apply for our program, and only 40 maybe could be accepted, but we're still only helping 17. That tells you that we can help, we can make the capacity, and we can do more. And that's why we're expanding and continuing to grow, and it's not just the 6 or more lives we are changing with every home. These are people that will live in our community and directly impact hundreds of other people for years to come. And after listening to the stories of these men here today, you know that we can do it. You know that they can do it. And we provide a literal foundation and roof and other kinds of support, but they do the heavy lifting, as you heard. Every single day, working, going to meetings, reconnecting with their family, as their stories told us, making dinner, cleaning the bathrooms, they do it all. But this does not happen without your support. There are a lot of people involved, including those of us in this room today, including you. In addition to Barbara, we have 4 staff who are dedicated to helping people turn their lives around. Chuck, Seth, Thomas, and Marla, thank you for all the work that you do. And we have strong support in our community. We have positive long-term relationships with law enforcement, correction agencies, and the judicial system. We partner with many organizations, one of which you heard of today, in town that help our guys with things like medical, dental, vision, and mental health care. They help us furnish our houses and even bring them to dinner on occasion. And we have financial and other support that comes from community founders and foundations, and we have volunteers, some of whom go into the jails and prisons. And people like you who make donations to Project 180. That is how we do it, with your help. Perhaps the most critical reason to support Project 180 is that your contribution saves lives. Many residents have said, and I've heard over the years, and we heard it today, if it weren't for this program, I'd be out on the street right now, using or dead. Project 180 literally saves lives. Now, I heard a personal story from a fellow tennis player on the courts last Saturday. Last year, after playing tennis, we were hanging around casually, talking about different things we're involved in. And I told him about Project 180 and what we do for the formerly incarcerated population. Maybe a month later, I get a call from Barbara asking me about a new donation check we received. It was from my new tennis friend and his wife that I told about Project 180. And this is true. I thought they were just being philanthropic individuals to try to bribe me so that I would not beat them again in a tennis match. I thought, boy, they're really working hard, so to win against me and my partner, because it was a very nice donation. So when I see the husband on the tennis court last Saturday, we chatted a little bit more about Project 180, and he says he's really interested in what we were doing, which took me by surprise because I wanted him to come to this lunch, and I was inviting him, and he couldn't make it. He's out of the country. And so we chatted about that, and he's really interested in Project 180, and then he told me why. His son was arrested and went through the whole system. And he now has a felony in his record, and that makes everything in life more difficult for him. He said, after going through this with my son, I believe in Project 180's cause. He says to me, and it's funny when he said this to me, because it's saying to someone who's involved with Project 180, he says, do you know how much they have to pay in court fees and fines? And I said, yes, but I did say that, but I was thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, I do. He says, we are a family of means, but what if you don't come from a family like ours? How do you get through this, was his comment. He said, how do you pick up the pieces and build your life? And these were his exact comments to me, and I just looked at him like, wow, okay, you get it. But you don't have to have that type of experience to realize our clients, these men and women, need our help. Your help to build their new lives, your help to help build their new lives. That is what we are doing at Project 180. Some of you have already made your donations and are sponsors of this lunch, and we thank you for this. For everyone else, you have a card in front of you with a QR code. If you would look in front of you, everyone has this in front of you, along with this little package here. If you would, please pick this up and watch what I'm doing. Do this along with me. How many of you have a cell phone? You can actually pull it out right now. Normally, you want to keep them put away. If you open up your phone, you hit the camera application. The camera application will open up. You take it, You take a picture of the QR code, you will see down the bottom it says project180reentry.org. That is where you can help us today and make a donation, and we appreciate everything. Also, what you'll find next to you is different ways that you can help and donate. It shows you the different costs of things with our program. That's definitely, all right, I see what it's doing now. Doesn't like my voice. So that's the card that lists all the different things that we need at the house, we need help with. And you can also donate and look at our website. Let me pull these away. So if you would, this is your way to connect with Project 180, is this other donation card. If you would, please jot something down here, a nice word for some of the men, anything helps. So today, Matt, Glenn, and Seth shared a piece of their courageous journey with us. Consider how you might support them and other residents of our First Week Out program through your donations, your time, and your commitment to making our community safer and more welcoming place for everyone. We thank you for coming today, and we thank you for your support.
All that knocking up there was God saying, Joe's right.
I just know it wasn't me.
So at this point, we were going to ask you to keep your phones out and take a survey that had been delivered into your inbox, but unfortunately, as you all probably know, nationwide, the internet service has been on and off. So sometime before Monday, I'm going to keep trying to get that survey into your inbox because our sponsors, some of them, really like to have feedback about what you thought about this event today. So if you would take it, we would really be grateful. And I think, Yogi, you're up.
Yeah, it's my turn again. Our board chair, David Shule, gave me my first chance at a regular job when I get out. Yay, David. Come on. That guy hired me. I promised I wasn't going to do this again. He hired me. The guy that spent 28 years in prison. Serving life. Me. David is that guy. He's the guy who sees the good in everybody. And I mean that sincerely. What you saw in me, I wasn't sure I saw in myself. So I stand here before you saying, thank you, man. Gratitude sustains an addict. And I got a lot of gratitude for not just David, but the Hope and Eva family. But he's done that for a lot of guys. He is instrumental in helping guys get back on their feet. And his people at Beneva made an awesome centerpieces, those you looking at right there. Yeah, that's right, commercial time, y'all. So please make a donation of $100 and take one of them home. Tell David how much you care. Barb.
So everyone, it's time for us to almost to say goodbye, but first I'd like to ask the speakers to come back up. And David, would you help me? Would you come up here and help me? I'll stand over here. Okay. Would you like to announce everybody?
Sure. Christopher Matt Branham. Good job. Good job, man. Good to meet you. You too, Dad. Yeah,
And Joe, could you bring me that last one that I forgot? Thank you.
The Seth Campbell. Glenn Hoffner, Jr. And David Yogi Harris. Didn't break.
That's the story of my life, right?
There you go. That's what happens when you bring me up.
So, our heartfelt thanks to all of our sponsors, to all of you for being here today. It's wonderful to walk around and see so many people who are caring and loving and who have become friends. So thank you. We're going to see you, I hope, October the 11th for the premiere of a film documentary that has been made by Janice Shelton and Miles Larson about the men of Project 180. Want to stand up for a quick minute? And I just have a little housekeeping thing. Some of you may have bought tickets already for that event, but because of the way that Eventbrite is set up, I actually have to cut those old tickets off. Your ticket is still good, and for anybody who hasn't yet bought a ticket, we'll send you a link to purchase those tickets if you would like. So until then, thank you for attending today. Please have a few words with our residents, and have a lovely afternoon.
You got my line.
We got it.